discuss probably a little bit of a popular topic, and I wouldn't say popular, but something that I think I would share with you guys, which is if pop-up shops are still worth it in 2025. So as you know, I have done a lot of pop-ups. I did a permanent pop-up at one point. This was about 2 years ago, about two, where I was doing a permanent pop-up for an entire year, and I was popping up at doing other vendor events, and I wanted to share some tips. There's some pros, some cons, and if it is still relevant in 2025, to see if that's something that you would want to do, something that you would want to add to your business, whether it's skincare or any business at all. So that's what we're going to talk about in this live. So if you're interested in that, keep watching. If you're here, like the live, you can ask questions as well. So let's begin with the first. Is it on? Oh, it is on. Let's begin with the first topic. So the first topic that we, ooh, the first thing that we have here is the basics of pop-up shops. So we kind of already know this, but you know, let's go over the pros of pop-up shops, right? One, it is, to me, it's like a temporary retail space. It's a way of having a retail space without having an actual retail space. And depending on the type of pop-ups or vendor events that you're doing, the cost fluctuates. So it's like having a retail space that doesn't cost too much depending on which vendor event you get, or having a retail space that does cost, still not much as having it monthly, but costs a decent amount, and the return is great depending on the vendor event that you're attending. So it has its, ups and downs in that area. So let's go over some pros of pop-up shops. One of them is brand awareness. This means that you're able to meet, come on there, you're able to meet new customers, you're able to engage with new customers, you're able to, expand your business to people who probably wouldn't reach, to people who still walk around, to people who still shop in store, and having extra customer, like who doesn't want new or returning customers, right? Or old customers, right? Just overall have new customers, put your products in front of different people, different, different cultures, different backgrounds, all type of stuff. And that's what you can get at pop-up shop, because you never know who you will run into at a pop-up shop. And that way, this way you'll be able to expand your business, and in get different demographics, because online we're probably only certain demographics. At a pop-up or a vendor event, you can reach different demographics that you didn't think you would be able to reach, right? And you can gain visibility for your brand, right? So the next one is customer engagement. I have my notes here. One thing a pop-up shop can do for your business is giving you the opportunity to give, direct access to your customers, which helps with building relationships with your customers. It gives you the opportunity to have them, to speak to them. It gives you the opportunity to have like live reviews, like right in front of you, telling you how your products work for them. Have live suggestions for what will work, what work and what doesn't work, and gives you an opportunity to give the business a bit of personality, because now they know who's the name behind the brand, things like that, who's behind the brand. So it helps with that. Pop-up shops help with that too. And for me, when I did that, I met a lot of people who probably wouldn't have met me in person, who wouldn't have found me online, was able to find me at my pop-up shop. A lot of people were like, oh, especially where I did my pop-ups, sometimes they were like, oh, we didn't know this existed, we didn't know, the space was here, we didn't know about you. And I was able to, a lot of people discovered me through pop-ups, because maybe the online wasn't it wasn't going off as it needed to be in the beginning. So I was able to meet new customers that way. So that's another thing that you can take into consideration when doing, your pop-up shops. Let me like this video. All right, so the next one, if you're here, please like the video, say hi. The next one is flexibility and creativity. You can experiment with layouts when you do your pop-ups, product displays, and themed experiences that online shops can't offer. This is true. With pop-up shops, you're able to, just be vibrant, just put your personality in it, display your products in certain ways. You can even add like, let's say new products. It gives the for you to be as creative as possible. It gives the opportunity. It gives you the opportunity to add a shopping experience that you probably wouldn't be able to add if you were doing this with an online shop. That's why a pop-up shop is like basically an extension of your online shop. Or if it's not an extension of your online shop, it's an extension of your online shop. Or let's say you don't have an online shop, a pop-up shop would help you to build that online shop, meaning like you might meet customers in person. Let's say you pop up somewhere, right? You might meet a customer in person that isn't local and wants to purchase your item online. This might give you the push and the motivation to start an online brand, right? So it's an opportunity. It's like it opens doors to a lot of things if you can find the right pop-up. So that's very important. If you find the right one, the right vendor event that works for your business, then yeah, you'll be able to get that. All right, so the next one is okay. Okay, great. The next one is community building pop-ups. Okay, so community building. So pop-ups are great for community building. Pop-ups often involve local artists, makers, or small businesses, fostering a sense of community and shared experience. So what that means is, you're able to meet other small business owners. And when you are an entrepreneur or a small business owner, it is very hard to have like colleagues. You don't have coworkers. Whereas when you do pop-ups, you get to meet a lot of other small businesses. Sometimes they're in similar niche, sometimes they're not. You might meet good ones that you can build relationships, ones that you're just meeting in that moment. So it helps you to create a community of other entrepreneurs and small businesses in your area, in your local area, which can then lead to you finding new opportunities, which can then lead to them sharing maybe other pop-up events that you might be interested in. This can also lead to them sharing resources with you. This can lead to them, it can lead to a whole bunch of things, you know what I'm saying? So don't sleep on pop-ups, and that is another reason that you can do it. And if you're interested, if you feel like you're lonely in your business, doing pop-ups can really help with meeting other people. Because what I will say, when I used to do pop-ups, that's how I was able to meet other vendors, because most of the times I was working from my home. I was creating products from my home. I was selling from my home because I was selling online. But once I had a vendor event, and once I had a permanent pop-up, I was able to meet so much people. It was so interesting. It was fun. And meet other vendors, meet other creatives, meet other entrepreneurs. Learn about resources, them, motivating you to do other things. Like, it was just a good vibe, a good energy. All right. So the next thing we want to talk about, add to that, this is adding to the pros as well, is testing new products. So also, if you're here or you're passing by, please share the live. One second, guys. Okay. Yeah. So in regards to testing new products, right? Let's say you're creating new products. Especially if you're a new business, what you get with a pop-up is that you can get real life reviews. Like, people can tell you about the scent, and this way I feel like the reviews and the feedback would be more authentic and genuine, because it's not your family members, it's not people that are close to you and probably trying to spare your feelings in different, it's not that. With a pop-up shop, you're getting strangers that are passing by your booth, strangers that are trying your product like right there in front of you, and you can get real life reviews from them and have them tell you, hey, they like this scent, they don't like this scent. They can tell you what they like about the scent, what they don't like about the scent. And that's why samples are really important, especially if you're doing a pop-up shop. You have to make sure you have samples and sample sets, and just ways for customers to try out the items, because you can get feedback right there and then. If you have new products, this is very important. If you have new products, then you're able to get live feedback from these new products. So that way you can know, maybe I should put this on the website, maybe I shouldn't put this on the website, based on what the customers are saying. All right. So anything like that. sorry. Yeah, so anything along that line, right? So you can think about that. So that's a benefit that we wouldn't have if we didn't have a pop-up shop. We wouldn't have real life reviews. We wouldn't have real life feedback without doing a pop-up shop or a pop-up event or a vendor event. And when I say pop-up shop, I know a lot of people might think a pop-up resale store, but there's small pop-ups as well. So those are the pros, right? Let's go into the cons of pop-up shops. So the costs can be a con, right? So there can be high upfront costs for renting space, transportation, display materials, and etc. Now, while this is true, I wanted to elaborate on that some more because as much as the cost might be high, as much as you might need to rent space, this is speaking about if you're renting an actual space in a retail area for a pop-up. So this is like the more expensive pop-ups. If you go to a vendor event, it is also can be more expensive depending on the vendor event. Like if it's a fair or something like that, sometimes they can run you about 1,500, 2,000, depending on the event that you're going to. However, sometimes local events can be cheaper. You can find, I remember I did pop up shops that were $30 and I made good money. I covered the pay that I made and, some more. I did pop ups. I think my other one was 30 or 40. Was it 50? Something along that line. And I would do that every weekend. And, yeah, after doing that, I would make back the rent. So it can work out. It all depends on the pop-ups that you choose or the vendor event that you choose. You also want to know that pop-ups are hit and miss. You might get a vendor event and that vendor event just flops, and that vendor event flopping isn't a reflection of you, but mostly because sometimes the event, the what do you call them, the promoters, they didn't do a good job at promoting the event. So as a result, a lot of customers didn't come to that event, and therefore you weren't able to access a lot of customers to get that much sales, right? Or the event that you go to, the target audience and the people that were there just doesn't align with things that you're selling. So it probably didn't work for you. So we have to think about that as well. And I think, we have to take that into consideration. So when you're thinking about a pop-up shop, kind of research the vendor event, research the target audience so you can kind of see, so you can kind of have an idea of what to expect and just see if your products really think to yourself, will my products do well at this event? Will my products actually sell here? Even if it's one or two, like, will it be worth it for me? So you want to think about that as well, especially with like skincare, the niche that we're in. We want to think about like, will my products work at this pop-up shop? Will it actually work for me? You know, or a craft market, anything along that line. So the next one is a next con that we want to point out is a time and effort. If you're just joining in, we did the pros earlier, so we're going over some pros and cons for pop-up shops and if we should still do them in 2025. If you're here, please like the live. All right, so the next one is time and effort. So organizing and managing a pop-up shop requires a lot of preparation and on the ground presence. This is absolutely true. It's a lot of manpower. You have to do a lot more work for a pop-up shop than you will do for like another business. If you were doing online, you still have to do prep work, but then once you prep and make the products, all you have to do is do whatever else that you need to do on the computer. A pop-up shop, not so much. With a pop-up shop, you have to be available. You have to be able to set up the pop-up. You have to be ready to speak to customers. You have to be ready to answer questions. You have to be there. That's one of the things that some people don't like about pop-up shops. They don't really like to be there, and that can get a bit tricky depending on who you ask. But it's a con, but if you're going to be in that line of business, it's something that you have to do. So we can think about that as well, right? Let's see. The is that the question? Do you still do pop-ups? So no, I don't do pop-ups anymore. But if I had a business right now and there was a decent pop-up, like so there was a decent vendor event and I felt like this vendor event aligned with my products, I would do it depending on the price. I might have a price range, and if the price is good, then I'll do the pop-up. Like, I don't do it anymore, but I would if something pop up and I had some good products to sell. If it was worth it. You can never go wrong with it, with doing a good pop-up shop. Right. What's the next one? So the next part of the cons is the uncertainty. I hope I said that right. But yeah, so I kind of went over this. It's hard to predict. It's hard to predict the return on investment. I mentioned that it is like it can be challenging to drive traffic depending on location and the market efforts. That's what I was saying. Like the market, like it really depends on the vendor. Like, did they do enough promotion? Are people going to come out to this vendor event? Do they do great events where a lot of people come out? Is it worth it? And that is the only thing with pop-ups. Like, you can't say for sure, like, okay, I am going to make this about, because you never know, and it can be a hit or miss. All you can do is research the vendor event, and see if it has good, reviews where it concerns pop-ups, and see if it has a good turnout, and then cross your fingers and do what you need to do, and hopefully you can make some money there. And to be honest, like, if you go to a vendor event and let's say everything doesn't sell, that's fine, because what, you have a website now, right? Hopefully you have a website, and you just list them on your website and sell them on your website. You can never go wrong with that. All right, any questions so far? If you're here, please like the live. No, okay, that's fine. All right, so the next one is logistics. From securing permits to managing inventory, pop-up shops come with a lot of moving pieces that need to be handled efficiently. This is true, yes, that's a con, and it has a lot of moving pieces, but I don't want that to deter anyone either, because it all depends on the pop-ups. If you're doing a very lavish, pop-ups where you have to have like a whole space set up and boards and all that stuff that you have to rent, that can get quite hectic after a while. If you're doing a simple pop-up shop where you just need to bring your products, have a table, and have some displays, you should be fine where it concerns logistics. Tracking your product, managing inventory, you can do that. A lot of card readers now, like PayPal, Shopify, a lot of those you can use to track your inventory. A lot of those are really great when it comes on to tracking inventory. So you shouldn't have much of an issue with that where it concerns tracking inventory if you're using a card reader. I hope you're using a card reader. If you have a pop-up shop, or if you're doing a pop-up shop, I hope you're using a card reader. Please get card readers. All right. Next one. How the landscapes of sorry. So the next topic that we're going to go over is pop-up shops in 2025, as we mentioned. All right. So we want to discuss how pop-up shops are evolving and whether they will make sense in today's landscape, right? So online shopping is very popular. So I think that's why a lot of people are concerned of if they should do a pop-up shop, because they think about online shopping and they're probably thinking, well, I don't think a pop-up shop will work in this day and age because of online shopping, which isn't true. Yeah, you have a point. Online shopping is very popular, you know, with e-commerce. A lot of physical businesses are taking a hit. A lot of people want to reduce physical retail store. A lot of people don't want to go outside. This is true, but we're not at the tail end of it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not at the end. Like, if you can make your sales and do it without pop-ups, then fine. But if you feel like you want to take a step and do more things, add more things to your business, it doesn't hurt to do a one vendor event just to see if it will work for you. So I know it's turning into that time where, in-person shopping is getting less and less, but we're not at the end yet. So why not make use of it before it plays out, right? And lots of people, then you have social media, right? Influence, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook have become like essential tools to drive pop-up traffic, right? So let's say you feel like online shopping, a lot of people are doing more of that rather than regular shopping, rather than pop-up shopping these days, then that's fine. Use your Instagram, use your tools, use everything that you have. And let's say hopefully you have an Instagram before you go to a pop-up shop. I know a lot of some pop-ups are like old school. No, you need to have a pop-up before you not a pop-up, you need to have an Instagram before you do these pop-ups. So that way you can share it with your followers like, hey, I'm going to be popping up here, X, Y, and Z. You can come to this pop-up shop to show me support. You can come to this pop-up shop to try my new products. I'm bringing this new product at the market, try it first, things like that, so they can come out and see you. Whereas if you don't have an Instagram, you don't have a TikTok or anything like that, how will your customers know? Like, yes, we can say the vendor, you already paid the vendor, but we don't know the type of promotion that the vendor is doing. So we don't know if we're going to get that customers. So try to drive your own customers to these pop-ups if you can. All right. So that's where your tools come in handy. So make your tools a priority. Like, use your audience to come to these events. All right. All right. Anybody have any questions? If you're here passing by, like the live, please. Don't leave us hanging. All right, so let's go over some current trends in pop-up shops, right? Experimental pop-ups. So you have businesses are offering unique interactive experience like workshops, yes, workshops, product demos, and customer giveaways to keep pop-ups exciting. This is true. So I had a friend who did pop-ups, and her pop-ups, she did candles, and it turned into her doing like workshops where you can come and make your candles, and then it turned into her having her, retail store where you come and you create these candles in the retail store, and it was a hit. It was so soothing, aesthetic, like it did what it needed to do. So that's the next thing you can do with your pop-up. Like, if you have a business, try to make it engaging, try to make it where the customers can come and say, this pop-up, we're going to do like a product demo. I guess it depends on the product that you have. If it's skincare, we can have a pop-up where it's possible to have a pop-up where they can come and make the skincare. They can come make their body butters, create a body oil. That would be cute, that would be nice, with some scent, some fragrance, and there you have it. You have like an engaging pop-up, right? And the other one is the customer giveaways. So yeah, you can make it so the customers can come and they can get a prize, maybe win some products, win some discounts, things like that. Something to make the pop-up exciting and something to make the customers come to the pop-ups. Sorry, something to make it so that the customers will come to the pop-ups, right? So if you have any questions, let me know. If you're passing by, like the live, please. So the next one is collaborations. So many pop-ups are now collaborations between multiple brands, creating larger events that draw in more foot traffic. This is what I was mentioning with saying, your pop-ups can be this successful depending on who you're popping up with, which vendor event you're going to, where you're doing the pop-up. So especially for like skincare brands, it's important to know where you're doing these pop-ups. If you can get a vendor collaboration, even if it's not a big vendor, but it's a retail store that has a known retail space, and you pop up inside the retail store, that can be very helpful for you as well. So you're in front of their customers, right? You get to be a part of whatever their customer is, right? You get to reach out to their customers. You just get to be in front of a different audience that you probably wouldn't have been in front of if you didn't do the pop-up. So it's good to find retail stores that will allow you to pop up in their stores. So the next one is mobile pop-ups slash trucks. So this can get expensive, but if you have like pop-up shops, this is a trend for 2025 though. You have pop-up shops that are going on the road, mobile pop-ups like vans, they're flexible and they can drive through different neighborhoods and different events. So they do have pop-ups like that, but I do see a lot of those for food. I've seen a nail salon like that. So that can get in the more expensive end, but that's just a trend that I wanted to share with you guys and see if anyone would, probably have any experience doing that. All right, so let's talk about the impact of social media on pop-up success, right? So creating a buzz online, this is what I mentioned before, and I think everything is kind of like tying in together. Creating a buzz online is very important where it concerns pop-ups, and businesses can use their Instagram stories, TikTok influencers to drive anticipation and create a must-attend event. Now, this tip is mostly for the event holder. Like, it would be nice for the event holder to create that type of buzz. So like people like me and you who are doing the pop-ups, yes, we're gonna drive traffic, we're gonna promote, but at least we can still make sales based on the buzz that the promoter does. That would be amazing, right? Ooh. The next thing that we see in social media, I don't think a lot of people do this, but eventually they'll have that moment where a lot of people, more people will be doing this, and it's live streaming the pop-up event without sharing privacy information, like cards, reader, stuff like that. So doing like pop-up event without sharing those stuff, that can you can stream pop-up events, and that can help with launching products, that can help with customers who can't make it to the pop-up but they want to see what's going on, and probably in the chat they'll tell you, oh, they want to purchase this, or what does this sell at, and they can see real life reviews of people talking about the products. I think that's a great idea. That's amazing. And then whatever platform you're streaming on, it can help to grow that platform. So now you're getting money both ways. All right. All right. If you're here, like the live. What am I there? Let me see. Okay. All right. So the next one is, should you do a pop-up in 2025? Now that is the real question. And I think the way how to approach this is like assessing if it's right for your business. Assess and see if, this is something that will work for you. So one thing that you want to think about is your business size and budget. So is your business ready for the investment in a pop-up? For smaller businesses or those with tight budgets, it may be better to start with small events or pop-up markets before going all in. And that's all I'm saying. Do the pop-ups and do small events, and do what do you call it? Do pop-up markets before you go all in into the big retail space pop-ups. And honestly, I feel like my type of business, we don't really do the big retail pop-ups. It's mostly the small events. We function and we thrive in the small events and the small pop-up markets. That's where our businesses thrive. So you can look into that and check that out, and see if that work for you. I saw that question already. The next one is target audience. Who are your customers? Are they, oh, great. Yes, so, this is a question to consider when doing a pop-up. So is your target audience local, right? Who are your customers? So for example, if your pop-up, can you do a pop-up in your city? Or does your city have a lot of foot traffic for you to do a pop-up? That's a good question, because some of us live in areas that we don't have that much foot traffic. So doing a pop-up probably wouldn't benefit us because we don't have a lot of foot traffic, right? And if not, you can probably do, let's say you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do a pop-up. You can do a digital pop-up. I've never done a digital pop-up before, but I attempted to do one. I never went through with it, but with where this day and age is, a digital pop-up would have been ideal for me, right? It would have been great. It would have been something for me to do, but I never ended up doing it. But you can definitely look into that as well. So the next one is brand goals, right? If you're looking to test a new product, get direct customer feedback, or build local recognition, a pop-up could be a great move. Especially when it concerns like local, you want to get known locally, a pop-up will definitely work for you. I believe that you could benefit from doing a pop-up shop if that's your goal, right? So let's talk about alternatives to pop-up shops. So online marketplaces, let's say you can't do a pop-up shop and it's like, okay, I can't do any of this. We can think about online marketplace, right? An online marketplace would be like a platform like Etsy, Amazon, Handmade offer a way to reach a larger audience. But I will say this, with the Amazon marketplace, think about pricing, fees, and also Etsy, think about fees. If you can do your website, great. If you can do both, great, because Etsy, you don't have to pay right away. You have to pay for, I think each listing to help grow your brand and then direct them to your website. That's cool. That could work as well. That's something that you can look into. Sorry. Virtual pop-ups. So another alternative is virtual pop-ups, as I mentioned. Host of virtual pop-up shops where you offer limited time deals, special product reveals, or exclusive bundles to create the pop-up experience without a physical store. What do you guys think? That is something that I mentioned earlier, and it's possible right now with TikTok. That's what all those. Have you ever seen them selling online selling? Those are virtual pop-up shops, and it works. So it depends on your brand. Skincare, body butters, we can do that too. All right. Next one. So yeah, so that's like a list of everything. Does anyone have any customers, any questions so far before we get into the Q&A section? No? All right, let's get to the Q&A. Questions. All right. So these are previous questions that I gathered together that, popular questions in this industry, right? So one of the first question is, what are the average costs involved in hosting a pop-up? The cost of hosting a pop-up shop can vary depending on a few factors like location, duration, and the type of setup you need. On average, you might spend between 5 to 5,000, but that is for the larger pop-ups. If you're doing a small pop-up, if it's your first pop-up and you're doing a small pop-up, then you might have to invest a good look 100, 200 for the first pop-up, and it is a small pop-up, and because you might need probably like $100 because you might need bags, tissue paper, some stands, those little things for the first pop-up. After that, if you're doing small pop-ups, it's not going to run you like five, right? I don't want to scare you off. It will some depending on the price of pop-up, then you pay the cover fee, and then you just bring all these items that you bought from your first pop-up and use them at the your vendor event, and you should be good to go. But let's say you're doing the lavish ones, they can run you 500 plus. If you're doing one of those lavish fancy ones and you're doing it out of town, those extra ones, those can be expensive. But small pop-up markets, I don't see them running it that much. Most, I'll say, if you just start out, can be like a 200, 300, but that's because you're just starting out and you have to buy all of these different things, right? So space rental, yeah, like if you're doing a large pop-up, you have to think about space rental, permits, and license. As a small pop-up person, what you have to worry about is display and materials. That's your main thing, display and materials. But larger pop-ups, then they have to think about permits, license, space rental, which is a bit different. All right. And then the next cost that I'll say, depending on how you want to play this, is marketing. So let's say you want to do the pop-ups, and you want the full amount of success. You want to make sure you just do as much as possible to spread the word about your pop-up so you get all the sales that you need. Then you could think about marketing. And honestly, on Facebook back then, you could use $5 to market your business. So some people will say do a minimum of 100 to 1,000. We're just starting out, we're small, we're not doing nowhere near 1,000. If you have 50, drop the 50 on it. 5, 10, do that. And when you do the ad, make sure it's the target area is local only, because you don't want to add for too far where a lot of those people can't come anyways. So do one of those targeted ads that are just for the local area and not for everywhere. That's what I did. All right. How do you find a location for a pop-up? So that's finding a good location is crucial for the success of your pop-up shop. Mentioned that earlier. But here's a few things that you can take into consideration when looking at pop-up shops. High foot traffic, demographics, and local collaboration. So high foot traffic, you want to make sure a lot of people will come to that area on the day that you're there, and they're coming to purchase. That's important, that people are actually passing by, even though you're probably going to run your ad, even though you're probably going to promote on your Facebook, your whatever it is. Still try to do that research and try to gauge the foot traffic in that area. Demographic, for instance, if you sell luxury skincare, high-end shopping district might be ideal. Matter, like, you have to think about that, think about the demographics and think about what you're selling, right? And considering partnering with a local business or venues that align with your brand. So that's a way that you can find a pop-up area. And then Eventbrite, I noticed a lot of Eventbrite sometimes have vendor events, or if they don't have like per se like a list of a vendor event, what you can do is go on Eventbrite and look at events in your area and look at them and see if they align with your brand, and see if they offer booth for pop-ups for small businesses, and see if you can get into that. So that's something as well. Number 3, next question. Do you need a permit for a pop-up shop, and how do you go about getting one? I don't really know how you go about getting one, but a permit, most of the places, all right. So when I did my permanent pop-up, they asked for your DBA, doing business as, so some type of license, but you know, your DBA, right? That's number 1. And then when it was just a 1-day pop-up, I don't think they really asked for DBA, but they do ask for your Instagram, right? So for small pop-ups, depending on the pop-up, they're not really asking for permit and license. Unless you're doing food, maybe they will ask for some license, right? Right. So, ooh, I raised one eyebrow. I've never done that before. I can't do it again. All right, but yeah, yes, in most areas, depending on the pop-up, you're gonna need a permit. So, temporary vendor permit. This is for a larger business, well, small business, but doing something grand. You're going to need a temporary vendor permit, and this allows you to sell products at a specific location for a limited time. It can cost anywhere from 50 to 500 depending on the city. This is ideal for someone who has you're selling products, you know, you're going to be on outside, you're going to be at one of those big fairs that take over the street, things like that. For small pop-ups like me and you, that we're just popping up in a store, popping up at a location, we don't really need that. Sales tax permit, that depends on the person as well. That depends on the type of pop-up and where you're popping up. Food and health permits, if you're doing food, but skincare, we're not doing food. So food and health, if you're doing food. So as I say, it all depends on the pop-ups. How do you handle the inventory and logistics of a pop-up shop? For a pop-up shop, organization is key. How to handle your logistics, I would say gauge the foot traffic. Once you are able to gauge the foot traffic, then you can estimate the demand, and you can start by analyzing previous sales data. Now, quick survey to gauge how much of your product to bring, right? See how much of your customers may or may not be there. If this is an event that has happened before, you know, look at past pictures, look at their past events, and try to gauge it. Honestly, sometimes for small business, me, I did like my best sellers, I'll do 24. It sounds like a lot, but it sounds like a little bit, but it was that worked. I'll do 24 for the weekend. In the bestseller, I mean, I bring like 24. I'll do same for the samples. Like the bestsellers, I try to bring as much of those as possible. Well, not as possible, but you know, I kind of gauge it, see how the traffic is, and bring. But my rule of thumb, 12 to 24, depending on the product. Because me, I rather have more than not have enough, because I can always sell it on my website. That's how I look at it. I'm like, you know what? Let me just make enough, because if I sell it out at a pop-up shop, I can always just sell it at my website and I'll be fine, right? Inventory management tools for pop-up shops, that falls under logistics. But honestly, if you have a card reader, that's why it's important to have a card reader to sell your products. It organizes your products for you. So if you have a card reader or a website, well, card reader and website goes hand in hand. It organizes your products for you. You won't have to do it yourself. You will be able to bring, you know, to know how much inventory you're going with, how much inventory you have left, what you need to re-up on, what you need to upload on the website, things like that, what you sold for cash, you sold one of this, you know, things like that. So you want to make sure you have a card reader and have this at your pop-up shop, so you can help with the inventory logistics, right? Pop-up shop shipping and returns. Shipping and returns, I don't really think that we need to deal with that for the pop-up shop. But let's say a customer that your pop-up came to your pop-up and they message you and they're like, hey, you know, something doesn't work, they don't like something, but they live further away, then that's when you can be like, okay, I can, you know, ship this person a new item, whatever the product is. You can go ahead and ship them a new item. What are the biggest mistakes people make when doing pop-up shops? Okay, so Some common mistakes are underestimating the costs, depending on the pop-up. If it's your first pop-up, you might underestimate the cost, not budgeting for hidden costs, and transportation or last minute supplies. Because my bags, I remember I was at a pop-up already and I ran out of bags. Like, oof, I hated that. So you want to make sure you have more than, I think for me, I'd rather to have more than less. So I'd rather have more bags. Like, I'll have my bag set up, but I'll also have a box of supplies and tools underneath my table. So when I run out of nothing, I can just replenish it. Right? Over or understocking. Yeah, I mentioned that a while ago. You just don't want to have, sometimes people don't want to have too much, but you don't want to have too little either. So you have to find a nice little middle ground. And this is why planning ahead and being organized is essential when you're doing pop-ups, especially for skincare. Next question. What kind of marketing works for promoting a pop-up event? I think I mentioned this earlier, but if you're asking this question, if you probably are not on the live, it is social media advertising. We mentioned that, use your platforms, use your personal platforms that you do not have to pay for, with your behind the scenes, post product teasers, post countdowns, target your local area. Targeting your local area can help boost visibility. And you have influencer partnership, you have email marketing, flyers and posters, even though a lot of people don't do flyers and posters anymore, maybe like business cards, if so much. And you can do event pages, create an event page on Facebook or Eventbrite where people can RSVP or get more information. The Eventbrite is something good as well. I've done a Facebook page for my event before. Did it work? I feel like that's when I grew my Facebook page, but my Facebook page got hacked. I'm so upset that that page got hacked because my Facebook page had like 1,000 people on it. That was, I hated that. Anyways, you know, can't what do you call it, quarrel over spilt milk, right? But yeah, so when before my Facebook page got hacked, I was able to use that page to create, the event for whenever I'm doing pop-up shops. I would post on my Facebook page, things like that, because it was there, it was available. But it's sad that that page is now gone, all the memories gone. All right, so let's go on to number 8. How do you know if a pop-up shop is worth the investment for your business? Brand exposure. You can think about that. Depending on the pop-up, think about brand exposure and being in front of all these potential customers that you probably wouldn't be in front of on your website. So think about brand exposure. Mentioned this earlier too. Customer feedback, top tier, in person. You can see what strangers think about your products. That's like, you can't just get that anywhere. Sale potential and location alignment. So yeah, that's what you want to think about, to the sale potential. And honestly, the sale potential come from all the other questions above. It's just doing research. It's just doing some research and making sure that this is something that you want to do, or it will end up being beneficial for you. Location alignment is basically, where is the right audience? Is your audience wherever this event is? Will your audience be there? Like, will it be worthwhile for you? Next question. How much product should you bring to a pop-up shop? I would say sometimes you don't have a good like number, but here's a rule, like a general rule of thumb. Remember we mentioned earlier, we're going to estimate the demand. So you might sell, if you're in a high traffic location, bring more stock. For smaller events, bring a limited stock. However, what I usually do is bring more of my best sellers. So even if I bring limited inventory, my best sellers, I will bring more of those. Next question, last but not least, what are some good alternatives to pop-up shops if you're on a tight budget? Mentioned this earlier as well. A good alternative is online pop-up shops if you're up to that and up to the the toll that it takes on your body to do that, or collaborations. I mentioned this earlier. pop-up market events, because they're small, they're community driven. I was thinking when I said pop-up market events, those are the pop-ups. You ever see the pop-ups in your local community where, people are coming in person and they're at your little market, the little mall, mini mall. Well, the malls can be pricier, but craft markets and things like that. Those are your local events. So those are cheaper. Those are usually way cheaper than a traditional, not even traditional, but then it's just cheaper than like a large pop-up shop overall. So I would consider doing that. That's not bad. Social media flash sales, yeah, those are great too. You don't have to worry about coming out of your house with those. Those are, top tier when you don't want to pay anything for any pop-up, when you don't want to have to deal with the whole pop-up setting up and all of that. You can do some social media marketing, well, flash sale. So in conclusion, we spoke about pop-up shops. We spoke about the pros and cons of it. We spoke about if it is something that we would do in 2025 or if it's something that we recommend doing in 2025. And we did a little bit of deep dive and some stories. Now, if you have any questions and you watch this, let's say you watch this after the fact, then that's okay. Drop your question in the description box. I will try to add a lot of timestamps in the description box to help you guys, comb through the questions that we did towards like the end of the live and things like that. So if you're here, please like the live. If you have any questions, if you're watching the replay, drop the question in a comment section and let me know if you're going to do a pop-up in 2025, and if you have the opportunity to do a pop-up in 2025, would you take that opportunity and would you use a card reader? On that note, thanks for being here. Until next time, I'm out. Bye. Oh, and I'll be posting a video later.